Hey guys, welcome to Morning Joe with me, Jim. And so I wanted to take a minute and just address the headlines. If you're looking at buying a home, your antenna are up, right? And so you're probably paying attention to some of the headlines, especially the ones on YouTube. They get pretty wild. I'll show you what I mean. Um, and then let's talk about it, right? So basically, look at a few of the headlines. America's housing dream is broken. CNN Business. Well, CNN Business has to sell ads, and so they have to create agitation, right? So they get more eyeballs. More troubling news for the U.S. housing market. This guy, Jason Walter, I don't know him. That's the same guy talking about it. The housing market just went from bad to worse, and I love that. The little, I forget what you call them, the image there. 2008 was a joke. And then why it may, oh, look, a positive one. Why it may be time to buy into the slumping real estate market. I'd like to hear that. I don't know, Danny Romo. Is the bubble popping, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. As you go through, most of them are going to be, on the negative side. So I took time to listen over the weekend to several of those, not those in particular, but several like that. And the ones who say housing is about to crash, more than a correction, maybe a 5% correction or something in the short term, which I don't think is even happening, by the way. I think we're just hitting an equilibrium between buyer and seller with higher rates. You got to find some equilibrium, and we certainly didn't have that in 2021. Not when you could ask 100,000 more than your neighbors got and probably get it. That was not an equilibrium. So what most of these guys on YouTube and every other outlet are saying, if they're saying there might be a big crash coming, is first of all, they're selling ads, right? A lot of these YouTubers, subsist on the ad revenue that they can generate, so they need more views, just like the news, right? But they're not buying a house for you, you are. And so what they're saying is, yeah, because interest rates are up. And here's the end, right? The shift. And if hyperinflation takes place, and if the dollar loses its fiat currency status or its reserve currency status in the world, and they have like 4 or 5 ifs, if all these things happen, well, home prices will crash. Well, okay. If you're in the market, let's get some real, and you can see some of my previous videos, just scroll up and where I talk about real data behind it. And the data suggests probably not. Might see a slight correction, but it's kind of like this. They're looking at worst case. What could happen? It could be bad. Do you remember being back in school, your school days, right? And there was a pretty girl you wanted to ask to the dance, and you were kind of nervous because you were like, oh, what's she going to say? And you build up all these things in your head, what she could say. Well, you look funny. You smell funny. I would never. And then you ask her, and she says, oh, yeah, I'd love to go to the dance. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. We'll have a great time. And you're like, oh, none of the bad things happened. And we do that over and over in our lives, right? We create these scenarios where, what if it could be, and the worst hardly ever happens. And I tell you, in the housing market right now, it would take a lot more than what is going on in the economy to crash a housing market. A lot more. Not likely. It could happen, but it's very unlikely. And so I would buy with confidence right now, especially on the 10th, on Thursday. We'll get the next inflation reading. If that comes out lower, guess what? Mortgage rates start to go lower as well. So, yeah, I think I would put blinders on if you're in the housing market and just look for your house that you can make your own. You can live your life in make it the way you want it, decorate it the way you want it, have your friends over and your family over for dinners the way you want. And I would confidently go do that. And no, yeah, rates are a little high right now, for sure. I don't like it. But every time they go up this quickly, they come right back down just as quickly. So the chance to refinance once you're in the house is going to be nearly 100%. I hope that helps. And if I can help with a pre-approval, let me know, and I'd love to do that too. I will.